Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Today, we are going to make another tea light holder. I do love tea light holders. I make a few every year, and I usually do them around punches because I like punches because you don't need a die cutting machine, and this one does not need a die cutting machine at all. And I'm going to show you this particular tea light holder was a little tricky in terms of I like to do little animal silhouettes, like I've done the moose and the bear and stuff, but sometimes you can't do that because we have builder punches. So this is what I came up with for our little fluffy squirrel friend. It is super cute. It has a circular window that is covered with vellum. And then in a dark room, you will see the silhouette of the squirrel. But in a dimly lit room or in even a bright room, you see the squirrel and how it is stamped, and it's super cute, right? On the top of the box here, I did theme this as a birthday theme, but you know, this could also be Thanksgiving. There are no Thanksgiving stamps in the bundle. I'll show it to you in a second, but you can change out a greeting from a different set, like Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas. If you've been following along and doing my other tea light holders, you can definitely theme this one Christmas as well. You know what would be really cute is if you had like a little Santa hat from a different stamp set and added that to the little squirrel. You could, you know, theme it with different paper and stuff. But I thought since we're into fall, I thought we would do like this little birthday theme, and this one, Go Nuts, It's Your Birthday, is right there in the snap set in the bundle. So I'm going to show you how to use this. I think this tutorial will also be really useful to you if you have other builder punches that have like a main punched image and then little peripheral images on the same punch. We can't use those to create a window, but you could again punch out the main item, whatever it is, and add it to the front of the circle. And so this is a nice way to do alternative ones with other builder pieces in it. This one wasn't too bad, but it didn't have a lot of peripherals. But the acorn and its placement was really bad because it would look like the squirrel was pooping acorns, and I just couldn't have that as a window on a tea light holder, right? If that acorn hadn't been there, then it would have been really easy to do a squirrel shaped window instead of a circular window. But you can see what I mean by builder punch. This one only has one extra piece to it, but some of our builder punches have a bunch of extra pieces to it, and it just doesn't make for a very nice clean window. So this is an alternative to that. I'm also went with the nice flat bottom again. I had done this on, I think it was the jar, the sweet jar tea light holder, and I really like that. So I'm doing that here so we have a nice smooth bottom with a lidded top. So I'm going to show you how to make this today. This is not a hard thing to make. It just has a bunch of little pieces to it. So I'm going to provide you with a project sheet. You need to be on my email list to get the project sheet, but the project sheet is going to have a diagram with all the pieces you need so you can get all of those worked out first, and then you can go ahead and build. And so I kind of feel like some of my projects are like a Lego build. You know, you just kind of follow the steps and you have a diagram, and that will help you create this project. So not hard, but there are several pieces to this project. What else can I say? Okay, we have, I hope some of you were able to participate in the stamp set sale yesterday. That's over now. We do have something new coming up. I talked about it on Tuesday. We have this advent calendar. It's a 12 days of crafting advent calendar. It is going to be released on Tuesday while supplies last. They say there's over $120 worth of product in this advent calendar, and it costs $99. So it is a significant gift either to yourself or for other people in your life. I'm going to, if you're on my email list, I will be composing an email just about this advent calendar, so you have all the information at your fingertips, so you can decide whether or not you want to get it. If you are thinking about it, though, just keep in mind, this is the first time Stampin' Up! Is doing something like this. I feel like there's going to be a lot of interest, and it may sell out quickly. But it just kind of depends how many Stampin' Up! Brought in and how many people want it. So I don't know for sure. But I feel for sure it won't last till December. I think it will sell out somewhat quickly, but who knows. So I will be sending out more information on this in an email. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh, there is World Card Making Day coming up. And it's coming up on October 4th. I did send out an email about this already. I'm trying to think. I probably will send out one more reminder about it. I just got my kit. I should do like a little unboxing of my little kit. But I just got it yesterday. So I haven't made any of the cards yet, but it does make 10 cards, and it does include that little card holder you see in the back of the photo. That is the World Card Making Day event is totally free, and this is something that you can purchase so you can craft along with all of us. So definitely make sure you put in your order soon. This is also while supplies last. I don't know how many are left. Okay. I think I'm ready to get started, and I'm going to make this project from start to finish so you can see how it's done. And just remember, if you would like all the measurements written down for you in that project sheet, there will be a free project sheet to my email list subscribers that will be sent out tomorrow in Saturday's email. All right, I'm going to zoom in my camera. You don't need to see my whole entire messy desk. All right. Okay. So because we are creating a circular window, you will need a circle punch. I'm using a 2 3/8 inch circle punch from Stampin' Up. It is currently available, and so is the Fluffy Squirrel bundle, which I use to decorate the box. So you'll need those two. I also did use a 2 1/4 inch circle punch. We don't currently sell one, but I have linked down below in the description of this video if you are looking for one. We used to sell it, but we no longer. And it is a punch that is similar to the Stampin' Up! One. So if you're looking for a 2 1/4, just look in my YouTube video in the description and you'll find a link to that. And then other than that, we just need like some ink and cardstock, and we need a Simply Scored or a scoring tool. So let's get started. We're going to start off by, I'm going to turn this off for a moment. Notice there's a little spot. You can't really see it because this is dark cardstock, but I have a little box down in there that holds the Tealight in place so it doesn't move around. We're going to start off by making the sides, all the sides of the box. So for that, you're going to need a piece of cardstock, and this one's 11 inches by 4 inches. And let me just pop this up top here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to score this on the short side, and I'm going to score it at the 3/8 inch mark all the way down. Then we'll just put it, this is going to be symmetrical anyway, but I always like to put the short segment up at the top just for consistency, and then I'm going to score at the 2 3/4 inch mark, the 5 1/2 inch mark, and the 8 1/4 inch mark. Okay. We're also going to need a connector piece to connect the two ends because I'm using the entire sheet for all the sides. So cut yourself an extra little strip. This one's 1/2 inch by 3 5/8 inch. Okay, 3 5/8. And so put that 1/2 inch side up at the top, and we're going to score this at the 1/4 inch mark all the way down like that. This will be our connector strip that will bridge our two sides together. All right. I'm just looking to see if I need to, there's more scoring to come, but I just wanted to get the main thing done first. So we're going to do our little windows, and the way we're going to get this punch to fit in as far as it will reach and to create a cool bottom is we need to fold over this long skinny end. So just go ahead and fold that over. You might want to take a bone folder and get it flat as possible. Okay, so make sure you've got your thing folded over when you use the punch, otherwise it won't go in far enough. We're going to take our punch. We don't need to mark these because this is tall enough that you're going to be able to see your score marks and the end as we go along. So you're going to stick this in here, and you're going to see on either side, you're going to have about 1/8 of an inch, maybe not quite 1/8, but almost 1/8. You'll be able to see the little score mark right here, and you'll be able to see the end right here with my measurements. There's just a bit of overhang of cardstock. Make sure your punch is all the way in, and then give it a punch. Okay, we'll need to reserve one of these for the top, and the rest of those will become scraps. Okay, so now I have to, the lighting in here, I have to kind of make sure I can see where I'm going to see the score lines. This is not hard if you have better lighting or angled lighting in the right direction. So now I'm just making sure that this is centered on the next panel. It's all the way in, and then I'm going to give it a punch. Just keep moving right along. And punch. And then this last one, it's kind of like the first one. All right. Now we have all of our pieces. Punched out all our little windows. And then we're going to add our little connector piece, and we're going to cut the bottom as well. So when you go ahead and fold these here, you're going to be very careful when we fold along the score lines here, because this is next to a circle. It's going to want to kind of come in and fold along the circle instead of along the score line. So very careful. Fold this, make sure you kind of help it along with your fingers. And then we're going to do this last one. Let's also fold the connector piece too, and smooth that down with the bone folder. Okay, so we're going to cut these into tabs. So let's use our scissors here. This is the short skinny scored segment, and we're going to cut tabs like this on an angle up to the first score line. And when you do this, it's going to cut both sides of the little V tab that we need at the same time. But basically, we're just cutting little V's into those score intersections. And then at the end, we're also going to angle cut both of those ends Okay. All right, now we're going to take this piece and we're going to glue it at the end of one piece. So you can either put it on the skinny strip or you can put it on the straightaway here. If you put it on the straightaway, you're going to put it right close to the edge because this is a very skinny strip. I did it skinny on purpose because I didn't want it to show through on the circle. So you just want to make sure with this end strip here that you're lining up that score line right against the end. Just give it a little press. And you can fold it and take another look and make sure it lines up really nicely. See what I mean? It's right against that edge. And then once it's like folded over, you can really give it a good little press and create that, I'm calling it like it's a connector piece basically. Okay, while we still have this flat, we're gonna add in our little vellum covers. So each of these panels is 2 3/4 inches wide. So I decided what I would do is cut this 1/16 less than 2 3/4. So it's right in between the 2.5 inch mark and the 2 3/4 inch mark. And these are all squares, okay? You could cut panels that go all the way to the top if you want, but my concern was just to be able to cover the circle completely. So I'm just doing a square that's going to cover that. So to make it easy for myself, I'm going to put the glue on the circle. This one, I'm going over top of that end tab right here. So if you wanted to, you can either put in the vellum first or the tab first, you know, one or the other. I put in the tab first and then I'm going to put in the vellum. So I'm just kind of drawing a square and then around there. Actually, you know what? If I do all of them first, it will dry a little bit, and that way it will help with any oozing should not be an issue. So just draw kind of a square. Remember, the square is not that much bigger than the circle. So we're just going to draw around and go in. And actually, when you do all the gluing or putting all the glue down at first, I think it really makes it go faster because you don't have to stop and put each of them in. Okay, so I've got glue on all of those. And now we're just going to place these. Just make sure that nothing is interfering with the folding. You want to be right next to the score line. If you cut your vellum too big, it's going to overlap onto the score line, and we do not want that because we want to make sure that it can create that right angle for the fold. I may put this way. This one seems, it's just bare minimum to size. It's just right under 2 3/4, so it will still fold. Okay. And then finally the last one. Put that on there. All right, those are all glued down. Now we're going to, before we glue this end to that end, it's really easy now to take your bottom piece. This is going to be your bottom. It's a 2 3/4 inch square, 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Just double check. I do have an inside piece too. I just need to make sure I have the right one because the inside piece is a little smaller. And you can glue it to whatever bottom tab you want. I'm just going to glue it to the one that is next to the side tab. So here's my little side tab, and I'm going to glue it to the bottom tab that's next to it. But I'm just doing this now because it's so much easier to get one side of the bottom glued while it's flat, and you can take your time to position it and really anchor it in. It's so much easier to do that now while it's flat than afterwards, because now I have an anchor spot, and then I can just work on all my other tabs afterwards. So doing this really, really helps. Okay, so the bottom is now on there. So now we're going to do the side, and the way to do the side is you just fold over one, and then we're going to put glue here, and then we're going to fold over this other piece like that. And we can do this while it's flat, and that's going to really help it come together. And then we'll fold that over, and then we're going to press along here. Can press this direction too. Okay, so you can see the box is coming together. Now, because we've anchored this bottom, we don't have to worry about this. That's there. Now we just need to put glue on the other 3 tabs on the bottom here. And this should be a much easier process because we've got that one anchored in. And then you just put that in, and you just make sure that it forms. You don't want the sides skewed at all, right? You want to make sure that they all work along the tabs and nothing is out of place. You can turn this over, take the bottom of your bone folder and just kind of give it a press on all of those 4 sides. Okay, then I've got another square, and this one is just slightly smaller than 2 3/4. So I called it 2 11/16. If that bothers you, just go down to do like so 2 3/4. It would be 2 5/8. 2 5/8 would be the next measurement down if you want to do it on the 8ths. But I cut this one to 2 11/16, and you can see before I drop it down in there that it's going to fit perfectly just inside. So we're going to put some glue on here, and this is also going to help stabilize the bottom because now we're gluing. I don't know if you can see the tabs down in here. I've got you can barely see them, but anyway, the tabs, you can see them right now very lightly because it's a dark color. But because I'm putting this on top of it, we're also sealing the tabs from the top and the bottom. And so I'm going to kind of slide this into the corner, and then I'm going to let it drop on the bottom. And again, you can use your bone folder to give it a little press. And now the bottom of your box should be pretty solid. Okay. So we've created the bottom of the box, and now before we go and create the lid, I'm going to create a little box to put the Tealight holder in. So bring your scoring board back and put this aside for a moment. Okay, so this little piece is 2 7/16 by 2 7/16. That is 1/16 inch less than 2.5. Okay. The reason the measurements are so exact is because this is going to hug the Tealight holder, and it's going to hold it in place. If I went up a size to 2.5 by 2.5, it would not hug your Tealight holder. So this going on the 16th just makes it kind of just hug it, and so it doesn't shift around. So 2 7/16 by 2 7/16, and then we're going to score at the 1/2 inch mark on all 4 sides. And this is kind of my standard tea light holder base, so you may have scored this before if you've done it, because my tea light holders do not change size. Okay, so now we've got our little piece, and we're going to cut tabs into that. So we're going to cut up along the score line just to the first score intersection, and then on each of them we're going to angle and angle. I'm going to keep turning it so the cut side is in the same spot. Cut up to the score intersection, angle and angle. We're doing this for all 4 sides. I'm going to cut in to the same side. We're making a lot of little pieces, but that just helps the little boxes come together. Okay, those go in the garbage. So now we're going to fold these along the score lines. Take our glue. I'm going to put glue on each of these corners. And then we'll just bring them together. And just make sure you line up that score line with the edge of the cardstock on all 4 sides so that it looks nice and neat. Press and finally press. Now this would be a good gift for my husband, but his birthday is not in fall. But my husband loves nuts. I think what I would do, if you have a nut lover in your family, you could make this, put the tea light holder in the bottom, and then you just put a bunch of nuts in there. If you're using nuts that have the shells still on them, you can just put them directly into the holder. If you're going to be doing something loose, you might look for like something that's already prepackaged, or put your nuts in a cellophane bag. You do not want shelled nuts against this, because nuts have a lot of oil in them, and it wouldn't be a good thing. So for this little tea light holder, you can put it on the straightaway like this, or you can turn it like this on the diagonal. I think it looks fancier on the diagonal, so I always put mine in on the diagonal, but you can choose. So I'm just going to drop this down at the bottom, not pressing on it yet. Sorry, my head might be in the way. And this is such a dark color. Sorry for the dark color. I just liked early espresso. I don't know, let me see if I can grab the flashlight on my, let's see. Oh, there you can see. There is the bottom. Okay, so I just put it on the diagonal right there. The flashlight on the cell phone is so useful, isn't it? I feel like I'm like on Star Trek, you know, with our little tricorders. You know, that's what cell phones kind of are, in a sense. All right, so I've got that in there. We're gonna let this dry while we work on the lid. So for the lid, you're going to grab another piece of early espresso. Notice we're just pretty much using one color for this. I like to use one color because we're going to use some paper to decorate it. So if you're not using early espresso, another color would be like Cajun Craze. I would use like a medium to a dark color so that your window pops, okay? If you use a lighter color, your window won't pop as much because the vellum is going to be too light. Oh, by the way, if you are looking for vellum, Stampin' Up! No longer sells it, but I do have a link to vellum down below if you're watching this on my YouTube channel. Okay, so just pick like a dark color, like Early Espresso's good, Cajun Craze. What else would I do? If you want to go towards, if you want to do gray squirrels, you could do like basic gray. You could do cherry cobbler, might look nice. So, you know, like a deep to mid-tone color. Okay, so this lid starts off as a 4 1/16 by 4 1/16 inch square. 4 1/16 is really easy because it is only 1/16 past the 4-inch mark. It's right in between the 4-inch mark and the 4 1/8 inch mark. And just, I did not put this down below, but if you have trouble with your 16th inch marks, this ruler, this is in my store under my favorite things. I can, after this video, I'll go put it in my Amazon links for this video. But you can see you've got your whole measurements, you've got your 1/2 inch, your 1/4, your 1/8. And look, if you go even further in, look, there's the little tiny 16ths, right? So, you know, 4 1/16, you see there's the 4 1/8, and 4 1/16 is just a little bit past that. So if you have trouble with the 16th inch marks, that is a good ruler to have. That will help you so much. Okay, so now we're going to score this piece 4 1/16 by 4 1/16 at the 5/8 inch mark on all 4 sides. 5/8. 5/8. It's like, it's not that hard once you've got your pieces cut. 5/8, 5/8, 5/8. All right, next up, we're gonna grab our scissors again, and we're going to, I have 2 different lengths of scissors. I've got like a short blade and a longer blade. I'm gonna use my slightly longer blade for this one. Okay, so we're gonna cut up to the score intersection, and then we're going to do little tabs. And I'm always cutting into one side and then flipping to the other side. You don't want to cut into 3 sides, right? You want to do opposites. Now that I think of it, there probably would be a way to do it to cut into all 4 sides, but I'm not going to confuse you by doing that. But I'm just doing 2 on one side and 2 on the other. Okay, let's fold this along the score lines. We're going to put the Designer Series paper on here afterwards. Putting this away in my little tool bin. If you buy supplies to make this from me, you always get to choose a free tutorial if your purchase is over $20. And Stampin' Up! Also rewards you if you've opted into Stampin' Rewards. You get 10% back on your orders. And it's a free program. I highly recommend everyone opt in. It's really easy to do. Once you log in, look for your name, or look for, if you're on your phone, look for the 3 bars, and go into the menu and look for the word rewards, and you can opt in from there. Okay, there are the glue on all 4 corners. Now we're going to bring this together to make the lid. Again, just make sure you're lining things up nicely. Like, don't let your score line angle out. You want it straight right up against the end so it looks nice. That's why I do all the little 16th measurements and stuff, so it is kind of precision. Okay. Get those little extra squeeze. All right, let's see how this fits on here. Every time I make this lid, it just depends on exactly how long my other cardstock is. It can be less, like this lid, for instance. I want to say this one is a little looser than this one. I don't know why. It's just a little tiny nuance, right? If you ever want to make a lid tighter, you can add an extra piece of cardstock on 1, 2, 3, or 4 of all the sides on the inside if you want to make it a little tighter. I'd rather it be like this. Like this I feel is like a nice fit than being too tight, because if your box lids are ever too tight, what happens is your side will bow in, and I don't like that. So if you need to make an adjustment that way, just depending on your box, then please add some cardstock. You would just measure the side. I would do 2 3/4 by, this is 5/8, so I would go just a little bit shorter than 5/8. So just a teeny tiny bit, 2 3/4 by 5/8, and I would just glue it to the inside. Okay, so now we're going to decorate the top of the box. I have a strip here that is 12 inches long by just a little bit shorter than 5/8. I'm using this beautiful Gathering Together, let's see if I can bend this bit, Gathering Together Designer Series paper. It's got gold foiling it. There's a lot of leaves, and just, it's a beautiful paper, perfect for the squirrel. I am going to score this strip. You could also just glue it and wrap it around, but I find that it just sits a little bit better along the corners if you score it. So these are the score measurements I came up with, but basically we're just wrapping it around. So this is 12 by almost 5/8 of an inch, but just a little bit shorter than that. So I'm going to score at the 1/2 inch mark. Then I'm going to score at the 3 3/8 inch mark, 6 1/4, and then 9. All right, and then we'll just do a preliminary fold. Okay. And then we're going to put glue. This is what I'm going to do. I'll show you this while it's dry because it's easier to do when I've got all the glue. I'm going to put that 1/2 inch mark right here, the 1/2 inch score, and then I'm going to come along here, glue, 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 and then this will overlap. We might need to cut off a little bit on the end of here. We'll have to see. Okay, so I think I'm going to go with putting the glue on the strip this time. So I'm going to go and put a line of glue somewhat close to the edge. I'm going to go all the way almost to the end, but not quite. But I am on the 1/2 inch, that first segment, that one is going to have glue all the way to the end. But this, the very end of the strip that I'm going to glue down, that one I'm not going to put glue all the way to the edge. Okay, so we're going to start, and I'm going to keep this just a little bit right along the bottom. I want this, and there's going to be a little bit of early espresso. If you cut it to be just a little bit less than 5/8, you're going to see a teeny tiny bit of early espresso. That is intentional. If you want to completely cover it up, then go with 5/8, because this is a 5/8 inch side. But this is the way I wanted to do it, so everyone can kind of just, at this point we're decorating, right? You're going to decorate it how you want it. And then this You know what? I think I could have gone with that last score measurement. I think I could have gone with 9 1/8. I'm going to change that on my thing. But basically we're bending it around the corner. So it you know, with a busy designer series paper like that, it just doesn't matter. Okay, and because you can't even see where I scored it. Yeah, I think 9 1/8 would be better. Okay, and there is, I don't even know if there is an overhang. It's like it almost made it just perfectly right to that corner. So there really isn't anything to cut off. It uses the entire 12-inch strip if you do that little half tab right at the beginning. Then I've cut this piece to 2 13/16 by 2 13/16. This is going to cover then the entire top. If you want to go a little bit like in from there, you could do 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Okay, but this, I'm going to cover the entire top, and you're just going to see a little bit of the brown on the side like that. You could go in, and it's, you know, whatever your preference is. You fit it to the top, and if you don't like it, make it smaller or cut a new piece, right? Okay, we're going to just glue this on here. This decorating part, this is up to you, however you want to do it. Okay, already just looks nice like that, right? Okay, so now we're going to do a little label for the top, and I'm going to use my 2 1/4 inch circle punch. This is the one that Stampin' Up does not have in its store anymore, but it is available on Amazon. So, and then I'm going to take one of these circles that I reserved from punching these out, and then I'm going to take Early Espresso, and we'll take the little greeting. It says, "Go nuts, it's your birthday," and just kind of center that in the center. And then I'm going to take 2 of these acorns, and then I'll just do one more acorn up here. Close that up for a moment. And then we're going to take our Stampin' Blends, light crumb cake and light pecan pie. Just, this is a very quick color. You can blend and shade if you want to. I just want these to look like acorns. There's a lot going on in this paper, so I'm not necessarily worried that this is like a focal point or anything like that. So this is just a little way to dress up the top label. Easy. Okay. And then we're going to glue these 2 together. And this is just going to have like a teeny tiny rim around it. Make it stand out a little bit against the busyness of this paper here. And then we're just going to glue this centered to the top. Okay, so that's the top. Now let's do the squirrels on the side. So you're going to take a scrap piece of basic white. There are, in the little squirrel stamp set, there are squirrels that are going to punch out with your punch, and then there's 2 that are not. The one with the 1 paw, the 1-pawed squirrel, is the one that punches out with a punch. The 2-pawed squirrel is just an extra squirrel. Okay, so We're going to start by doing the outline in Early Espresso. And then you don't have to color the squirrel, which is great because the squirrel is a big area. So I'm using pecan pie for the filler. So just hover that. Okay, that looks a little better. Hover it over, just kind of try and match everything. And then stamp it down. If you'd like to do a gray squirrel, I recommend basic gray and smoky slate instead as your two colors. You could also do like kind of a more orangey squirrel. Then I'd recommend maybe Cajun Craze, and you could stamp off Cajun Craze maybe once. I would have to try the orange one, or use a slighter, or like more orangey color. So you could do that. Where is my squirrel? Okay, here we go. We're gonna just punch this out, and then you can just line it up. These squirrels do punch with a little white outline around them. It actually looks nice and helps them pop against the vellum. So I have not tried to stamp onto this little acorn. What I like to do, I mean, I'm sure it's possible, but I don't know. I think it would be hard to get it centered. Let's see how hard it is. I haven't been doing this yet. I'm just gonna, yeah, I think you can try and do that, but that would kind of drive me nuts because it's kind of hard to center it. So for the little acorns, I'm just going to take a little scrap piece of cardstock. This is like only, it's about an inch wide. We often have these leftover inch wide pieces. So I need 4 squirrels and 4 acorns. I already did all of my squirrels ahead of time because I didn't feel like you would want to watch that, but I didn't do my acorns. So let's just do the acorns real quick. So you have them on this little 1-inch strip. It's easiest to color them while they're still on the strip because that way they're like anchored. And it's just a very fast color. Yeah, you could do something to make the acorns look fancier, but I think everyone's going to be looking at the squirrel, to be quite honest, so I'm not willing to put the extra effort in. All right, so you have your little acorns on your 1-inch strip, and now you're just going to line them up with that corner. And besides the fact that this looks like the squirrel is pooping acorns, this is actually a great place, just trying to line it up, for punching out the acorns. It's a nice location for that. So I will give the designers that. And that was probably the only place that they could put it on here. If we wanted to have an acorn, I really prefer not to have builder punches because with extra items on them, because I do like to create windows with my punches, and that annoys me that I can't do that then. But it is nice to be able to have that little extra piece to punch these little guys out, because it goes really, really quickly then, right? So, you know, the decoration of this is not hard. You just keep making squirrels. You could also, to simplify things, if you didn't want to do it on all 4 sides, you could do 3 sides or 2 sides or even 1 side. You don't have to have squirrels and windows on all the sides, but I did. So it's very easy with a punch. So you're going to just put your squirrel in place. You're going to glue it. Put some glue on the squirrel. Good idea to kind of first have an idea of where you're going to want to put the squirrel so that you know placement wise, right? We're going to take one of these acorns and we're just going to slide it underneath the paw of the squirrel. like he's holding on to it. And then we're going to do this all the way around. It's not hard. And really the acorn, yes, I did have to color the acorn, but it was so fast. It's tiny, tiny area. The squirrel got colored with a stamp, so that's like fast. And you know, it's nice that this is a tea light holder, because once the nuts or candy is gone, then the person might keep the box because it's cute. And if you're giving them a squirrel themed box, they probably either like squirrels or cute little animals, so they're more likely to keep it if it is a tea light holder, right? And just one more. Okay. All right, and then you just put that on top. Oh, we can put the tea light in there. This is one of my weaker tea lights, older ones. Okay, that one has a little bit of light left in it. We put this on top. So there is room for a little bow right there. That's why I put the acorn to one side. So I did try a little linen thread bow. Linen thread works really well on here because it's kind of neutral. Doesn't show off too much, right? It's just kind of a nice little extra thing, but it's not going to draw too much attention away from everything else that's going on. And there you go. Cute little tea light holder. It goes all the way around. And then this is the other one I made. Depending on your paper placement, they'll look a little bit different from the top, right? So super cute. I know my husband's a nut lover, and I know there's probably other people that love nuts too. Or you could do something like chocolate covered almonds, you know, Ferrero Rocher has nuts in it, like anything that has, put your favorite chocolate nut candy in there, right? It's super, super cute. And it's, you know, it's a little bit different than always doing a Christmas themed one. This one could be for fall, for Thanksgiving, for birthdays. And then, you know, if you do want to do a Christmas one, because you've done all my other ones and you want to theme it Christmas, then do it in Christmas colors. You know, make the little squirrel a little Santa squirrel, right? Super, super cute. I hope you liked that. I had fun making that, but actually I was a little stressed yesterday, I will tell you, because I really wanted to do something else yesterday. And then I realized that I was missing a key component. So next week I already have my project partially designed and partially ready to go, because I actually started designing something else yesterday. So, and as I was going through, I was like, yeah, I did want to do a squirrel tea light holder, and I was looking at that box and it was driving me crazy because I didn't want a window, a squirrel shaped window with an acorn coming out from its behind, right? Just didn't look very good. But I think this is a very cute alternative, and you can use this with other punched shapes that have like builder punches with other pieces, because you could put this you know, another thing behind here. This could be a sun or a moon. Think about, you know, for Halloween, if you have like a Halloween punched shape that you want to put on behind there, that could be kind of like a moon or sunshine, you know, whatever you want to do. But it's a nice design for a box that you can use again even without the squirrel. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you enjoyed this video, I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, engage with my video, share it. I would appreciate all of that because it helps me get seen by other people. And that way I can keep doing what I'm doing and coming up with all of these 3D different kinds of things. All right. Let's say hello to all of you. I always do that kind of at the end so I don't get distracted. If you do have a question while I'm live, I'm going to try and get to it right now. And if not, we'll leave it in the comments, or I do have a link to my comments that you can send me a comment or a question. I will answer those. Hello, Ellie. Ellie says something about blackberry squirrels. They are all about half the size of the ones she had in upstate New York. Well, that's really cool. Hello, Tina from south of Boston. You're not too far from me. Hello, Mary from Indiana. Mommy Ruth says, their black squirrels are so cute. The brown squirrels seem to have more personality, though. You know, in Canada, when we go up to see my parents-in-law, they have a lot of black squirrels. So, you know, it just different regional areas. I have seen like a red squirrel in my yard before, but they are very elusive. Mostly I get gray squirrels, but with the paper today, I kind of wanted to do a brown colored squirrel, but you can make it whatever color you want. Hello, Verblue. Oh, all these comments maybe have come out in scrambled order. Is the black squirrels that we were talking about. Okay. Ellie says there's 1,000 squirrels per acre. You know what we have a lot of this year? We do have squirrels, but we have a lot of chipmunks this year. Last year we had a ton more squirrels, and this year we have a lot more chipmunks. I think they kind of cycle through, and we have a couple oak trees in the front yard, and right now they are dropping their acorns, and it is like this mad scrabble of these little chipmunks and squirrels running across our driveway, picking up the little acorns. And when I walk by, I sometimes just step on the acorns to make it easier for them to pick up the little acorny pieces. I don't know if that helps them or hinders them. Maybe it hinders them. Maybe they want to store the whole little acorn in the little nutshell. I don't know. Depends on maybe what size of animal you are, right? Mommy Ruth says she ordered the bundle when it came out. It's so fun. I did order this bundle when it came out, but I'm just working through my massive pile of catalog stuff that I haven't touched yet. So I just want to gradually make sure I do a 3D project with each of these, because when I order something, I usually don't order it unless I can envision a 3D with it, especially if it's a die set or a punch bundle. I always try and make sure I have at least one idea of what I can do as a 3D thing. So I'm just working my way through all of them. I'll probably come back and revisit some of them and do a second project too. Susan says hello from Florida, and she says that project is so cute. I hope I exceeded your expectations, Susan. Susan said she did get some stamps from the stamp sale a few days ago, but you didn't get this one. Well, you know what? This one might have been cheaper to do as a bundle, so don't worry, and it's still available, so you can always pick it up later if you want to. All right, we're still talking about different colors of squirrels. A lot of people are getting squirrels in their backyard. Marty says Brenda always comes up with great projects, and she says she loves my Tealight holders. Well, that's so nice. I love making them, and I feel like every single one of them is slightly different, so I think it's really, I size them for whatever I'm making, so it's not always the same size, it's not always the same height, it's not, you know, always the same width. I'm always learning, and I think I'm evolving on how I make them too, like how to make them better. Hello, Tanya. And she says she likes the Tealight holder. Lots of squirrel chatter. And I love that. I'm just not going to read all of them out. Hello, Mary and Candy. And hello, Deborah. Deborah says her squirrels love to surf. Really? They go into the water? That would be cool. Deborah says she loves the tea light holders. Good morning, Glenda. Hello, Carol. And she says she finally gets to catch me live. Well, I'm glad you're here, Carol. Mary said, could you use 12 by 12 paper and just add the connective on instead of adding it onto the piece? Yeah, you could. So if you are using 12 by 12, I try not to use 12 by 12 very often because I have the most of 8.5 by 11, and I know most people have that too. So if you wanted to do the extra, you would just add, like you could do 11.25 inches on the length, and then everything else would be the same. You'd score the same, and then you'd just be left over with that 1/4 inch tab over on the side. The reason I didn't do a 3/8 inch tab on the side like I did on the bottom is because sometimes when you get your circle, you will get like if you don't get it 100% centered, you're gonna have you might end up with a little skinny tab right there, and you might see like your tab sticking out behind the circle. So that's why I did a 1/4 inch tab, because that minimizes the space, and I think a 1/4 inch tab is sufficient right there. There's not too much stress on that joint. So yeah, I would cut it to 11.25, but I'm going to assume still that a lot of people just have 8.5 by 11. So yeah. Awesome question. Hello, T. She says, adorable little tea light holder. Thank you. Candy said, could it be easier to attach the candle holder to the bottom and then put inside? Would it be easier to attach the candle holder? Yeah, you could. So when you are adding the that flap, you've glued the bottom flap to anchor it, right? At that point, if you had the tea light holder made, you could glue that onto the flap. You just have to make sure you glue it to the correct side, right? And then you could close it up and then put the glue onto the tabs, and then oh no, you couldn't. Okay, you could if you don't want to line your inside of your box. If you're just going to do the bottom without lining the inside, oh, that's what you mean. Yes, you could do that. Okay, I'm catching on. Okay, I'm just trying to think when you would put it in. So yeah, so I have the inside piece Candy's talking about. So not the bottom piece, but the inside piece that is just a little bit shy of 2 3/4. If you wanted to, you could add your tea light holder to that and then add it in. You'll get almost, you can still press with your bone folder. You won't be able to slide it all over back and forth. But yeah, I think that would be a really smart idea. That will help you get it centered, rather than what I do and drop it in and then just kind of manipulate it. But that's a really great idea. Like that. Nalita says, very nice box. Mommy Ruth says, adorable. Terry says, good tip about making the lid smaller. You know who mentioned that? I think it was Louise on a different one. On a different tutorial where I was talking about lid sizes, and she said, yeah, you can make it tighter by putting those strips on the inside. So that, I think it was Louise Haydu that said that. That was a good tip that I will keep talking about. Hello, Debbie from South Dakota. Hello, Jean. And she says she loves this tea light holder. And she's going to make them for her Thanksgiving table. Awesome. I love that. And she said, thank you for sharing. She says, I'm tremendous. Well, thank you for that. Now I'm going to have an all inflated head all day. No, I'm just kidding. I won't. Marty says, I wore the perfect shirt for this. It coordinates beautifully. Well, thank you. I actually did this morning as I was going into my closet to decide to wear something that kind of matched. Thank you for noticing. I try and do that. It doesn't always work out, right? Because these are Cuddle Duds shirts, and I've collected different patterns over this year. This is a pattern that's no longer available, but I love them because they are so soft. I just practically live in them. And yes, that's boring, but that's me. You know, once I get something that I like, you know, I just want more of it. So if I can have the same shirt in different colors and patterns, that's what I'm going to do. All right, Karen says she loves all the details. Placing an extra piece in the bottom for stability is a great idea. Thank you. Glenda says, love it, and thanks for sharing. Tina, squirrel poop, love it. Yeah, you know, it kind of just looks like that. Every time I looked at it, I was like, oh no, we can't do a window with squirrel poop in it. Marianne says she's joining late. Well, I'm glad you're here anyway. She was just outside watching a squirrel burying a pecan in one of the plants in the rock garden. Now, do you get those like in the spring? I get like little oak trees in my yard because the squirrels have buried them. And they're like all over the place, and I have to pull them out because I do not want an oak tree in my flower bed. So Tanya says adorable, and she says the squirrel set is so cute. Mary says sweet squirrel box. Yeah, there's Karen says she was also watching the squirrels. Yeah, they're all over the place, right? Kathleen Williams says adorable. Thank you. Christina says she's going to watch the replay. This will be available right after it's done. You can start watching it. Mommy Ruth says thank you. And so does Terry. And Fair Blue says another cute box creation. Adding this one to my list to make. Awesome. Oh, Christina says she has black squirrels in Ohio. It's so weird. We do not have one black squirrel in this neighborhood. We have gray squirrels. When we were in Yosemite, the squirrels had an interesting markation on their body. It was like, I think it was some sort of white patch on their body. And, you know, I think squirrels are just like, they have their little regional differences, right? Ellie says, thanks. Tanya says the first time she saw a black squirrel was in Toronto. Yeah, so Toronto's not too far from where my in-laws live, right? Karen says she's been looking for a Tealight box. This is just what she wanted. Oh, yay. I'm so glad. That makes me happy because I want people to make this. Like, I would be very, very sad if no one wanted to make my stuff. So yes, every time I see someone that makes it, it really makes me happy to see that. Judy says, super cute box. Yeah, watch the replay, Judy. You'll be able to see it from the start. Karen says, I always have the best projects. And she says, thank you so much. And hugs. Thank you, Karen. Marianne says she has the perfect tea lights for this. You turn them on. They stay on for 6 hours and then turn off and come back on the same time the next day. Oh, that's cute. That's a really neat idea. Kenny says she loves the box, and she says thank you. Aw, thank you so much, everyone. Carol says she also loves Cuddle Duds shirts too. Aren't they the best? Like, they are just so comfortable. You can wear them under things. I sometimes wear them with a vest or like a sweatshirt on top or a sweater. But they are just like so soft. I really have a hard time transitioning to summer because I'm so used to wearing the softness next to my skin. So definitely very, very nice. Okay. Carol says great project. Judy says great job. um, I'm reading it's all the little squirrels that Carol posted. Marianne says she has several trees growing in pots from her little squirrels doing the planting. Hello, Nancy. Oh, she's getting here very late. Well, I hope your haircut turned out cute. I'm sorry you arrived late right at the end of my video, but just as a reminder, I will have a project sheet goes out in the mail on Saturday. To get on my email list, just look down below in the description of the video. If you're watching this on my blog post, there's also a link to get on my email list from there. And then you will get the project sheet for this. If you need any of the supplies I talked about today, just look at the description of the video, open it up, and there is a supply list there, both from Stampin' Up! And some additional items from Amazon. And I will add this ruler right afterwards. I do also now have just a regular store where I'm going to try to put all my stuff. I just started working on that about a week or two ago. So I'm trying to get all of my links. Actually, you will find this in the links section. If you go to that very first link, it will have a link to this ruler. But I'm going to put it out separately because if I use it in the video, I kind of want to make it easy for you to find everything. Debbie asked, do you purchase the Cuddle Duds online or in retail stores? So Debbie, you can, the best place to get Cuddle Duds if you're in the US is at Kohl's, Kohl's. And I'm sure it's a chain store across the US. And because you can often get like, buy one, get a certain percentage off. They also have a Cuddle Dud store, but Kohl's has better prices. So, and they usually have all of the patterns. Was one time they didn't have a pattern I wanted, and I didn't end up getting it because I didn't have any other things I wanted to buy from the Cuddle Dud store, and I didn't want to pay for just to bring one thing out. So I kind of so I get most of them from Kohl's. Also, if you've never gotten one before, if you want to try one on, go to the Kohl's store. If you have one locally, go to the Kohl's store, and they usually have a display of Cuddle Duds. And even if you don't like the color, try it on for size. They're pretty consistent for size. They do fit. They do fit. I wouldn't say tight. Like I'm wearing a medium right now, and sometimes I wear a size small. But I like the way they fit because they're supposed to fit under things. Like some people wear them like under their skiing things and stuff. Like they're also kind of like a layering clothes. And I like to get the patterns because sometimes they're kind of clingy. It's just looks better on your body because you can see any of the lines or anything like that if you buy the solid colors. Now, if you're buying a solid color to wear under something else, like sometimes I have t-shirts sometimes that I wear to conferences and stuff. And I sometimes put a solid color of Cuddle Duds long sleeve underneath my t-shirt because I find those venues kind of cold. And then you could put the t-shirt on top. So there is a reason why you want it clingy. But if you go to the store directly, go to Kohl's and try it on for size. That way you're not getting any surprises because they really are pretty much the years I've been buying them, they're a very consistent fit. So I hope that helps, right? They are very soft. They come in solid colors. This year's they've done different patterns over the year. This pattern year they were going more experimental into patterns. This year they're kind of more like just little more stripes and stuff. I sent them a note saying I really love when they do like really new patterns because I buy kind of the new patterns every year because they are just so wonderful. Okay, off my Cuddle Dud soapbox right now, but they are super soft. Mary Ann says she loves the ruler. Yeah, it's good. All right, I am going to get off here, and I am going to pop this ruler into the description of my YouTube. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.